Hey everyone, weekly market time. We'll take a look at the usuals with Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, and a few other strong coins that I'm currently looking at. But before I, start going over charts, I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about my expectations for the month of August and September. So before we even start, historically, September has been a bearish month in general. And the markets have performed historically the worst. So going into this video is going to be a small recap of what I covered in my last video 2 weeks ago, and basically telling you that this was going to be a chop to the downside, and I expect August and all of September to be either bearish or just choppy, and then a slow grind to the downside. All right, and I'll explain that in the charts. But after September, I think we will have shaken out enough from the retail traders, and then we start pushing that final leg up from here. So here is a clean chart, and actually let's just go over this chart. This is something I posted on Twitter, and again, if you guys want to follow me, I put a lot of my updates on there. I don't share calls on Twitter. I don't share calls anymore on YouTube either. I will only be sharing updates and live trades in my private Discord that is closed. So I know a lot of you guys ask me in DMs or ask me in comments. No, it is closed and there is no longer any updates being made. So I will not be answering questions on, is this a good place to long? Are you selling here? That's a decision that you guys have to make yourselves. So back to this chart here. So line charts tell you a lot from the story. Okay, so uh, wicks, although they're fine, they don't tell you when market structure is completely broken. At least I don't use wicks for market structure, and those that use it incorrectly. So in my opinion, if you take a look at line charts, they will tell you a different story in its entirety. Back here, we had literally a double top, and I can draw this out even more, but this is a double top to the T. Okay. And this also an SFP that I covered before, but this was the first retrace that we had back in January. And another thing that I want to tell you guys is usually good news in an uptrend does not mean continuation. Good news in an uptrend usually means it's time to take profits and there's going to be a decline. So back here, right, this was when Trump took into office, and for many that they think this is good news, well, they got absolutely destroyed. This was bad news, in my opinion, for the markets and its entirety, but then eventually we made all-time highs, right? So bad news came out here, in my opinion, and then we had a move lower. Here we had a lower high, our first market structure break. So if you take a look, let's say this was your higher high with your low, with your high, you had a break of structure with a lower low, confirmation with a lower high, and then we had from that level, right, we had about a 9% drop. Well, look what happened here. We had a higher high into a higher low into a higher high, failed to make it, made a higher high but didn't break structure with a lower high here, or sorry, a lower low here, but it made a lower high, and this was the first lower high since, like back here. And look, just like this one gave a 9% move, this one currently has given a 6% move. Do I think it's over? I don't think so. I think we have more of a chop to the downside. And the reason for that, I'm going to go back into this chart here. we have broken below the range low. Okay, and again, I'm taking line charts. We broke below the range low. We are currently rejecting swiftly off the the previous swing low. Okay, this is resistance. Actually, resistance is going to be from basically 116 down to this 114 area. This is all resistance. So if we are able to reclaim this level, then this would be a deviation just like down here. Okay, so reclaim and then continue to go higher, just like we did back here. This was the range low. Notice how we came back here. We rejected, came down. If this is to reject from here, then I expect that slow move down. And then we reclaimed it, flipped it into support, this area here, flipped it into support, and then continued to go higher. So I expect us to reject, honestly, in this area and then continue to go lower. But the flip would be this close above, flip it into support just like we did it here, and then we, have that last leg up. But my expectation would be something like, let's use blue, something like this, and then slow grind down, okay, and then some type of nasty event in September, take out these swing lows and hopefully fill this demand zone, and then slow grind up from there. That's what I personally want. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but then I want to bring up this other important, I guess, like need for people to worry. All right, it's not a need, but a lot of people are just over obsessing with a certain level. I mentioned $2,800 on ETH, and everyone starts freaking out. We're going to 2,800. He said 2,800. You guys have to take a look at charts from level to level. Okay, I'm saying a number, but it doesn't mean that number is going to be breached immediately. Stuff has to happen in between that to get to that level. So a lot of you guys are freaking out for absolutely no reason and obsessing over a single digit. Stop. All right, you guys have to be able to um, take a look at charts and dissect them from time frame to time frame. You can't just, mark a level on your chart and expect that level to hit. That's not how it works. On days where you are not trading, if you are not working on making yourself better traders, absorbing knowledge, then you are not going to go far. It's simple. Okay, you got to put in the work to want it and to uh, not always be in trades, but understand when to be in trades and when not to be in trades. And when you're not in trades, you understand and you learn more concepts, absorb more knowledge. So in the future, you're able to not, I guess, predict things, but be prepared for these events that we just recently had. um, and I expect eventually this level to be hit once levels are lost. And maybe this week I'll make another uh, Bitcoin dissection video, and we can go through it time frame by time frame. But for now, I'm not going to. So you guys will have to find those levels and what those levels mean. But the only one that I will give you for this bias to take place would have to be this blue level is your most important one. Okay, this 110K region. Why is that? Well, it was previous all-time high. We rejected multiple times. We broke out, okay? We actually bounced from the most current all-time high to a T. And remember, I've said this before, when a coin goes into price discovery, always bid its previous all-time highs. It bounced from this all-time high, gave you a nice move into resistance. Well, this all-time high hasn't been hit. And this region from 110 to 112 is important, because if we are to lose this level and close below, just like this is saying it to, basically, okay, let's make this a disgusting dementia dawn orange color. So this chart here, if we close below and turn this into resistance, then this move above this previous range that we had, right? Here's the range, here's the deviation on the downside. So here is the break below the range, deviation, get back above, reclaim and send. Here's the range. If we get back below, well, this is just a deviation of the top of the range, and then we go back into this previous range. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. That orange line from 112 to 110k. If we close below it and turn it into resistance, just like this, I'm going to invert this, right? We had this move here, we closed below, and then we turn this previous, in this example, resistance or previous resistance back into SR, into resistance. That's what happens, right? Going back to inverted, that happens, then that is a short. And yes, I am saying this, the shorts are basically on again. You're looking for setups to take place. I can't give you this because the stop loss hasn't taken effect yet, but it would look something like this. If this is turned into resistance, I don't know where stop loss placement would be, but let's say it's like here. Again, I need more data for this to be more of an accurate setup. You play it back down to range lows, taking profit at mid-range and range lows, right? But currently, again, no plays on Bitcoin. In my opinion, the only one that you could have longed was this demand zone or previous all-time high bounce. But no longs should be taken here until we are able to reclaim this previous support, currently resistance, flip it, and then you could take possible longs with very, very tight stop losses. Okay, back to this resistance here. That is the only long trigger that I see. Okay, so that's my analysis for Bitcoin. Let's take a look at USDT dominance. So again, this is the exact chart that I covered in my video from, I think it was last month. And we had a bullish order block here, right? We actually rejected when I made this a couple of months ago from this point, and I said look for a bounce there, right? It doesn't mean, well, my sell all target is this 3.73%, but you have levels that have to be lost before that happens. So currently we have a bullish OB bounce with a falling wedge here. Okay, you have supply around 4.7% to 4.8. You also have confluence of the supply zone here with this downtrend. If I were to take fibs and draw it back down there, again, you also have, the golden pocket fib as confluence. So unless this level is broken out and flipped, this level here, basically it's 4.9%. If this level is flipped into support, then that is where you're going to be looking to basically short everything and then long at resistance. So I expect a rejection from this area. If this level is flipped to support, then this is going to be bad for longs and good for shorts. So that's your confirmation. Otherwise, this is a bullish formation. We should reject from this area. It is an SR point. It was. Again, resistance, right? We broke out, flipped it to support. Okay, support, lost it, SR. So we should reject here. And who knows, maybe this is where alts continue to run. If this is another lower high here, then we do this, right? But again, this is my sell all target for USDT dominance. On the other side, here is BTC Dom. Okay, now here is where you are looking at TA subjectively. Okay, So if we are looking at this with a higher high, higher low, higher high, we broke below this previous level, put in a lower low. So this is a bearish structure. This being bearish is good for alts. Okay. If this continues to run up and reject from, let's say, 64%, this is a lower high. Again, this is perfect confirmation bias for what I think happens in the rest of August and September. Again, I could be wrong, but if this happens, right, alts are going to get more of a bleeding, Bitcoin price going down, alts actually going to take a hit, which would allow for about a 20-30% drop in. I wouldn't say 30%, maybe, well, 30% for some shitcoins, right? If you're holding like, what is that? Ski, right? That coin basically goes to zero. But if you're holding like ETH, maybe you get like a 20% drop to my $2,800 level. But other coins, like other low cap coins, could provide more of a dip. If this goes higher and makes a lower high, then I'm looking for something like this to make another lower low into around 58%. Okay, basically from November, and this could again take some time. This would be my, November through to like end of year, eventually down to 54% or close to 56%. Okay, um, it'll also fall in line with my 3.7 to 3.5 on USDT dominance and my target for BTC that I said at the beginning of the year, I think, or a little bit earlier last year, of the cycle top, which is around 125 to 135K, right? So that's my analysis for Bitcoin and the dominances. Let's take a look at ETH. Again, something that I posted on Twitter. I did not act on this. Transparency. Okay, so I think I've made this video also for Bitcoin. I've said this in the past, but if you are looking at a tops usually end with some type of rising wedge. Okay, so if we were to go back to last cycle and we take a look at ETH, right? Okay, tops usually end with some type of rising wedge pattern, whether it's a channel, okay, and then eventually comes back down, this broke structure into a lower high, right? Here's another top looking pattern. Again, it's a rising wedge. Okay, before it came back top. And now I'm not talking about tops. This could be local tops. All right, again, another one here, right? That's how tops usually end. Okay, well, if we take a look at this major resistance level around 3,800, look what happened last time. We can go to a lower time frame to dissect. Okay, rising channel wedge, rising channel wedge, rising channel wedge again into resistance, and then most recently a rising channel wedge into resistance. Okay, now technical targets. We're almost there. It's around 3,300. Let's go to a perp chart really quickly. So this was a setup I think I gave in my previous video. If you took it with the entry and DCA did not fill, but gave you a nice move. But let's start from scratch and let's take a look at structure here. Okay. High, low, high, broke below previous higher low into a lower low. We have broken structure. So if we are looking for shorts, we're looking for another lower high here to take a look to execute on those shorts. Usually when you have a break of structure, price reacts from the previous swing low. So let's say this, okay, notice how we got the rejections and then it completely blew back up. This is your higher low. So I'm looking for possible areas to short if we get into this region. Now let's see what we can find, and sometimes you'll have to go to a lower time frame to take a look. So if I were to draw fibs from the swing high to the low, Okay, perfect area. This was previously support. We lost it. The golden pocket is now an SR point. It lines up a little bit close to the previous higher high here, and this is actually a Quasimodo pattern with this being a perfect area to take a look at a short for ETH. Now I can go to a lower time frame and dissect. Not only is it an SR there, right? You have, this is a pretty drastic drop, but you have, some type of consolidation on H1 here. And, on a lower time frame, this actually turned the previous support into resistance. So it was ranging here, and I go to a lower time frame. It was ranging here for a bit before it dropped, and it even hit this supply zone. So you have a lower, like maybe probably an H15 or like a 30-minute consolidation where there's supply zone there. But, I have enough confluence to take a short from that point. Okay, we have the bull or the bearish Quasimodo, the golden pocket, and then when you're taking the shorts, okay, when you're taking the shorts, basically you're looking for market structure to continue, right? So if this actually goes, and this is the previous range, basically, well, here's the range low, okay, and again, we're rejecting from that area. If we were to flip it, then this could be a deviation, okay, and this continues to go to grind higher. But the important level for me to reclaim is actually this previous higher low here. All right, so around 3600 is the area to reclaim, to look for longs. Okay, stop loss undetermined, but I still need more data. But it would look something like that. About a 2.5 hour trade into this area. But when you have a break of structure, you're looking for continuation down until, or a reclaim here where you can then reduce your position size. So if we do get a lower high here, then honestly, again, continuation of market structure would be, into another lower low, whether it's like, around 30, 3200, 3300, even back down to here. That's what you're looking for to take those swing shorts. Okay. Um, but for ETH, again, it's in an area where I'm uncomfortable in longing, especially Sunday pumps. So unless this level is reclaimed, that's where I'd be looking to trigger this long here. But eventually I would like to take this short. And if I'm looking for longs, then I again, the area that I'm very interested in, okay, is this $2,800 region. Previously resistance, let's bring it down a little bit. Okay, rejection, and then we never had a retest of that area. Okay, here is a possible cup and handle pattern as well. I would love that to get tested, but again, before we get there, we have to talk about other levels. Okay, you have this order block demands zone that got picked up perfectly, but this is the other level that I'd be looking for, which could front run this level. You have the 3052 to $2,900 level. You have consolidation, okay, but honestly, I would love to get this red line here. Actually, let's make it black as support. Um, this line to get tested first. But on a lower time frame, if you're looking for longs, you want to see the weekend lows being swept on both Bitcoin and ETH to take longs. Okay, so let's say that we come and sweep these lows. Okay, then you have a possible bullish divergence here. All right, then maybe some type of pattern here as well. And then you're looking too long with stops below the sweep once that happens. And same with Bitcoin. Okay, you want to see these lows being taken out, reclaim possible bullish divergence, and then you have a pattern to the upside. Okay, again, that is a potential option I'd be looking for in terms of longs. Bitcoin also has a demand zone there. Or I'd be looking on the reclaim of the resistances. Well, reclaim of now resistance to once we take that. That's what I'd be looking for longs as well. Okay. Hype was another coin that I actually, and we'll take a look at a perp chart. Let me bring this up on perps really quickly. Again, another coin that I posted on my Twitter, and I never took the setup. Well, I don't know when I had this, but we bounced perfectly from it. Here's what I had. Okay, we had this rising wedge, and remember what I told you. When you have tops, they look like some type of rising wedge or rising channel. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, higher high, higher high, higher high, and then we broke down. We even retested this area and the technical targets of this rising wedge. Let's just draw it from. Let's draw it from. I mean, if I were to extend this, it would look something like that. So let's use this. The target would be that, which would be around the demand zone that has been untested, around $28. Okay, now let's take a look at this and talk about it level by level. Currently, this is a very, very important level for Sol to hold. Okay, previous all-time high, flipped to support, we bounced right from it. Okay, but it's very weak. The market actually still looks very weak, and this could be just another lower high and then continue to go down. But if I were looking to buy, I'd be looking for sweeps of these lows. That's where I'd be looking to add or buy, or this demand zone. Let's front run it. 28 down to $25 if given. Again, $31 should provide a bounce. Okay, so I would start buying there down to $25. But if we get this sweep, and who knows, maybe we just go and just like Bitcoin and ETH, sweep the weekend lows. Okay, bull div, look for longs, some type of rising wedge pattern. Now this could be a long bull flag pattern forming down here with a rising wedge type of look to it, but that is a look to long, and then here is previous support around 41. That is an important level to reclaim. Rejections all across, resistance, resistance, flip to support, bounce from support, bounce from support, lost it, turn into resistance. That's where I'd be looking to short hype as well. And if I were to draw fibs, I think the fibs are actually much higher. Yeah, also valid resistance area. To be honest, you can make this a swing trade if we ever get that area, and you can draw more. That's why I would like to start my shorts around 41 to 42. I like the original setup that I had. Let's do that. Okay, back down to that demand zone. Okay, simple. You can also draw this. Oops. This was the breakdown of the trend, and you can see if we continue to go down, the longer we take, that is a good area to take a short. Bearish retest, lots of confluence to take that short around that area. Okay. And the last coin that's very interesting to me is ENA. Okay. draw the important level. We do not want to get back under that level. And this actually, did it bounce from this OB perfectly? It did. It filled it perfectly and bounced. Bullish OB did its job. So you can take a look at this and say, hey, higher high into a low, higher high into another higher low, and trend is still up, okay? As long as this level is not lost, okay? Even if we close something like this, then we have a break of structure. On a lower time frame, yes, you do have a break of structure on a lower time frame, okay? High, low, high into a lower low, into a lower high, and then down. Okay, so that was a bearish structure. But on a higher time frame, this still looks good for an uptrend. Okay, it could bounce from here and then go higher. But as long as 52 cents is held, this should grind higher. 52 cents is lost, then we go lower. But let me erase my Leonardo da Vinci-esque drawings really quickly. All right. So recently we took out this internal high. We have this high here. Okay. And then obviously the all-time high mark. So we took out these highs, and 4-hour closes in 2 hours. So if we have a bearish engulfing candle, again, look the last time. I know I bring this up multiple times, but look the last time we had bullish engulfing candles. Okay. Red engulfed the green, down. Red engulfed the green, down. Right. If this one engulfs this one, and then you're looking down. Again, sweep of these lows, as long as 52 cents is held on the daily and we don't close below it, this should go on its trajectory to the upside. But right now, we took out the highs, so now the range is basically going to be from here to here. Above this range high, then you're looking for these highs to be swept and then possibly go lower. Okay, but this looks structurally really good on a daily, but on a lower time frame, this still provides to be resistance. Okay, and you have a falling wedge on the 4-hour. Breakout and retest would fall perfectly in line with what I was saying. And then the technical targets of this bull flag would be newer local highs. Okay. Into around 78 cents. Those are technical targets. But ENA is a very strong coin and performing really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this pulls back into, let's say, if we get the pullback into this bullish order block with the sweep of those lows, and this would be a very good place to potentially long it once those lows are swept. You can go in lighter at entry and then wait for the sweep to happen to add more to your position. Otherwise, if the sweep doesn't happen and this 52 cents is closed below on the daily, you can cut your position for a small loss. Right? This is one coin where I currently wouldn't want to short. But then you also have TA experts who know nothing about head and shoulders saying that a potential head and shoulders is forming here. You have your left, your head, right? Come back down, people start to short. That's the exact place where we would look for a bounce. But again, if this level is lost, most likely 52 cents gets lost as well. And then this goes back to the 33-cent mark before whatever bullish news just came out for ENA, and then it continued to rip. All right, I think it was having the buybacks, but you know, whenever there is a bullish news on a coin, okay, pumps usually get retraced. So like, for example, I think it was this time. No, it was here. Around 3:30 when This whole entire move up here was caused actually much higher to like $4. This was all caused by the Pokemon news for Sui, right? Yes, it came back down. Half of it, more than half, was retraced before going back up. But then these pumps usually get retraced after time. Same thing with ENA. I think that whole pump gets retraced eventually, and that would be the perfect buying opportunity to buy it if it happens in sometime September. Okay, so those are the only coins that I'm currently looking at. I will try to get a Bitcoin dissection video out in the next one, but I will see you guys next week.